Alrighty, hey, I'm redoing this video. I didn't like the way the original came out, so I'm reshooting it and I'm breaking it down into a few different sections so that hopefully the questions and problems that you have within Run8 concerning the locomotives can be addressed here. I've seen these repeatedly over and over, and people have asked me for help, and I come over, take a look, and can pretty well figure out what's going on. So we're going to start here. I got a bunch of trains set up to talk about a few different things, but we're going to start with this single SD70 right here. So the SD70, first off, HEP off. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Okay. This is a SD70. I'll hop up inside here. And there's your parking brake, of course. Now, if, for example, well, let's step out. Let's just do it like I was going to. I'm getting ahead of myself. You can start here. Start all locomotive, auto circuit, auto multiple unit, dynamic power. I think that's what that means. Auto EOT train. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Auto air brakes. Okay, so let's just pop those. I'm checking my feed valve is set to 90, so that's how much air. My dynamics is on. Isolation switch is on. And handbrakes applied. So, I don't like, real quickly, I don't like the way that this starts in real life. Of course, I don't work for the railroad, but I know people who did, and my grandfather did as well. As I understand it, you would walk down here, you'd turn on your battery, get your battery knife, or turn it, or whatever it's called, cutting it on. You would prime your engine, flip your switch, and start it. Of course, you got your circuit breakers inside that you would have to do too. You'll notice here everything is already on. This right here is your fuel generator. If this is not on, your train's not going nowhere. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake, throw it up into forward, left shift B, we're clear. Again, we're clear here. Just go ahead and apply throttle, and we're not going nowhere because this generator is on. So just want to point that out. If you hop in a train that's sitting there and you do this and you're not going anywhere, check your switches right here. That's one of the things that I see a lot of. Your gauge lights are right here, down below. Make sure you turn your gauge lights on. It helps, especially at night time. So you got your fuel generator, which locks it. Engine run and fuel pump. Okay. Let's step out. Oh yeah, let me show you real quick. Headlights, and this works for all the SD70s, ES44s. We all know that. That's your front. You can get here and you can change it to lead hood, blah, 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 like that. If you got a trailing locomotive, which we'll get to, you'd use that for the rear end, what I call the rear lights, to come on. So let's shut this off, and let's do it inside. So if you want to start it inside manually, turn your fuel pump on, turn that to run. You come back here, you can use the AS and EC keys to kind of get up. Oops, that's here we go, E, to kind of help get up in here. Now some of these are different. This one is all set up on the same spot, but we're going to go ahead and click it to start. Okay, your maintenance light, fresh air, horn, cut in. This deals with your dynamic brakes here, which we'll talk about that in a different one. You can set your lights right here where you want them at, and press start. Now, it shouldn't start, but it does. So it's not actually accurate because it's showing isolate but not start. So, and again, as long as, wait for this to start. Okay, it's running. As long as this is in isolate and not run, or start and not run, your locomotive is not going to go anywhere. I can do that and throw it back over, but let's say I leave it in isolate. Okay, hit F5, make sure the parking brakes are off. I'm outside, so throw it into a notch, and you can hear I'm clicking, but nothing is happening with the notch. That's another thing to check. If your locomotive doesn't want to move, go in and look at your switches. Same thing if it's in the start mode. See, nothing's going to happen. You can hear me tapping on the plus key. It has to be in the run mode. There we go. So, also inside, is this switch right here, EOT, end of train. It's a brake test, which I will get into that, but I wanted to point this. Only the SD70s have this. Alright, so let's just delete this one. Let's go down here where I have two set up at. 2 or 3 locomotives set up down here. Now all this works on the server as well as on your own computer, and right now I'm not on any server, I'm just on my own computer. So I have 5 locomotives set up down here, and this is my lead. Now again, you can do this the manual or automatic way. Click here, there, and here, and just let it all start up. Or you can do it the manual way, including inside by flipping your circuit. See here, they're off. It all works the same way, but this is what I want to show you too. You grab a train and you want to start it manually. Okay, let it start. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and do start all. I'll come back and we'll redo these. But I'm going to do all circuit breakers, MU, and air brakes. So let's let all these start up real quick. What I have here is 2 SD70s, and down here I have 3 ES4400s. Okay, so we'll jump in the loco. Parking brake is on. Turn it off. My switches are up. My fuel generator is going. Gauge lights. Okay, everything looks good. That's at run. My dynamic brake is at cut in. Short hood lead for my headlights, so we're looking like we're good. And the train would normally take off with no problem. But sometimes you get out there and you're running cars and you're doing locos, and you may not have this many, but you may have a long train, which I have one set up over further. I'll show as an example again. And all of a sudden you find yourself where your engines won't work. You can't go nowhere. What to do? Well, one of the things you want to check is right here, your DPU setup. Okay, now this is being the lead, so these two will be grayed out. Okay, but now let's look at this one. It's set to slave, which is correct, but it's showing as DPU forward, which is incorrect. That is not correct, and that's with automatic circuit breakers. It still will not do this. And sometimes you will actually run in where this makes a difference. The problem is the locomotive is facing this way, the lead is, but this one's facing the opposite, so you have to change that and then switch it back. So now it's DPU reverse, because it's facing the reverse direction, and throw it back to slave. Now you should have no problem with this whatsoever, providing that your brakes are set to 90 for freight, 120 for passengers like Amtrak. Dynamic brake is at normal, and your isolation switch is at run. Look at the next one. Same thing, but we know that this is forward, so we know that's correct. Check the run, the dynamic, everything looks good. Let's look at this one. It's backwards. So we have to change that. Now most times you jump in, you're hopping in, you're going to take this as a road train, and it'll work just fine, you know, even with this being incorrect. But there are times that will happen where that makes a difference, and you come in and check it. So what I do myself, whenever I start my trains, I go through everything. And again, this one needs to be reversed because it is the reverse direction of the lead locomotive. Now that my isolation run, dynamics are normal, I got air pressure, one last thing I want to do on this one, and that's to turn on some kind of tail light. So like if this was the end of my train, which I have one set up and I'll show you, you would have your running lights on back here. Well, short hood lead, short hood trail. So I kicked that on and then pressed the J key, and there it came on. If I press it again, you'd have your brights. Shift J to take them back down and off. So that's how you turn on the rear running lights. Now, I don't work for the railroad, so I don't know the technical jargon, but we all know that railroads, when they have an engine at the rear, will have these rear headlights. Doesn't matter which way the loco is facing. You know, it could be facing the same direction, forward, but they always have the rear headlights on if there's a loco at the end of it. Now, let's get up here. You know what, we're going to do this with a train. So I'm going to delete this one. Now, I got a couple, is it this one here? We'll get to that one last. I believe it's this one over here. Yep, there's a loco down there. Alright, so let's get over here. Let's grab this one here. Okay, so again, you can go through and manually start these, which in this case, particularly, I'm going to do that. I'm doing one by one. You notice that it's at isolate, starting. The start is not turned on. It should not start. It shouldn't, but it will. Kind of disappointing for Run8. You would think that you would have to have the start for it to run. I'm waiting, and see, now it's running. It shouldn't start like that. It'll also start and run. My air set, my normal dynamics, isolations to run, short hood lead, boom. Let's look at the next one. Okay, let's start it, but this time I want to show you I can put it to run and it'll start. It doesn't matter which one of these three the isolation switch is at, it'll still start, which is not how it is. Look back over here and make sure I had that set to run. Let this one start. Meaning that this is in the middle, we'll leave the headlight at single middle. Okay, it's running. But again, look, forward, reverse. So we have to change this and throw that back. Okay. Next one, start. I'm just going to go ahead and start all of these right here. Start, and then I got one on the rear too. So this is the next one, making sure 90 on the air, dynamics are on, run, single. DPU is reversed for this one. This one, it needs to be forward because it is facing forward like the lead locomotive is. Set this to run. Got 90. This one is reversed, so we'll have to change it. Turn that to run. 90, air pressure, single middle. This one, we know it's going to be reverse. So we switch that to reverse, run, 90. Now let's go to the end of the train where I have one locomotive down here. And we'll go ahead and start it. And again, it doesn't matter which one of these it's at, it'll start. I do hope that they fix that. This is the rear of the train, and we already know that this is going to be incorrect. DPU forward, because it's not forward. It's facing the reverse direction, and we'll switch that back. Now, if this was facing forward, and sometimes they are, then that would have been fine. We're going to do short hood trail because that's what's showing out down here. And again, if it was going the other way, you'd have short hood, long hood trail. And now I can press J. Short hood trail. Why is my headlight not coming on? It should come on. What's going on?
Coming into your mode now, so we'll see how it goes. But give me a call after light power. We'll see about moving you up.
Oh, short hood lead, short hood trail. Okay, that's what's wrong. Okay. Sometimes you gotta come in and look and take a look. A lot of your problems that you have, there it is, they're on. It's easily fixed if you just take a look. So there's my thing. No, wait, that's the, I went to the wrong one. Short hood lead. Sorry, hit the wrong key. Okay, F11, shift F11. Let's turn around here. Short hood trail, so that's correct. So why is it not working? I don't know. It normally does work just fine. So J, short hood trail, long hood trail, single middle. For some reason it's just not coming on. Maybe it's only for the SD70s. I know some of these other ones it won't. That is SD70. I don't know why it's not doing it, because it should come on. Some of them other ones, they don't work for some reason. I do know that. Slave, DPU reverse, normal, run, got positive air. Alright, now, anyway, that being said, let's say you actually, some people actually use this rear car or this rear loco to pull and sort out the trains. The problem is it switches. This will be now the lead, and you know, you make it the lead unit and you pull. Let's just do it like this. Okay. But what's going to happen is you're going to have errors. We just switch this to lead by clicking on lead, but you notice it's still set up as slave. Now you will have issues, especially when you recombine the what's left of your train back together. It's not going to want to work right. What do you do when you find that happening? Come in and just set it back. Well, I have to go to the other end. Come in, put your main back to the lead. Let's go back here and switch that off. Now what happens if you have both on? Here's a question. What happens? I've actually seen this happen, and they're like, Darren, I don't understand. My train keeps pulling itself apart. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen, because you got two as a lead. You got your DPU lead here, and then at the front you got your main lead here. And what will happen is the train will literally pull itself in half, because they're both trying to pull. Sometimes one will be strong enough that it'll start pulling the rest of it. Most of the times it'll separate, and then you got like, what's going on? Try to fix it. So that's the thing you want to watch for, making sure that you switch that back. So if you've separated, you've used one, and you're trying to put the engine back on the end and continue on for whatever reason, that's what you do. You set that back. Let me delete the. Oh yeah, let me show you one other thing. Let's go down to the front. Brake checks. Left shift B. E is for engine. So we got one at the end, and all these cars in the middle are, you know, how your brakes are. White is good. So let's say if I was to go right control home, take the parking brake off. Now you can see how long it's taken for the whole train to charge. Now of course you can always change this by coming in and where's that, right here, and changing your cheat key. But why is it not? Let's do that. Let's go here, home, and left control home. There we go. Sometimes it acts up. Now you can see how it's charging. E is applied. If it goes purple, it's really locked. Okay, so now your brakes are fully applied. And then you just want to do a release. Right control end will release it. And there you go. Let's go look at something. You can see it changing here. And we wait for it to clear, or you can hit the F7 key and just be on your way. Now, one of the things that'll happen, let's just go ahead and do that. Clear it. Boom. We're ready to go. Let's switch over here. And let's say, set this as a lead unit. Now, if you've been hooking up locomotives and you've been running cars and trying to set up your train, and then you back back a train in, or say you pull it forward to connect to these, and you're getting ready to do your brake check, guess what's going to happen? If you press left shift and B as in Baker, you get this error right here. Engineered locomotive is not the leading or trailing unit. So you cannot see the brakes, you cannot do a brake check from this position. You have to be at the front or the rear in order to do a brake check. And there it is, it's working just fine. See? Let's see, what was another thing I wanted to show you? Oh yeah, on the SD70s, and the SD70s, the only one that has it, is a little toggle switch here. Okay, flip it once, preps it, flip it twice, and oh, I got a locomotive on the rear, so it probably didn't do it. Let's go to this other train. I want to delete this one. Let's go to this other train right over here. Talking about, somebody had asked me about doing a brake test. How do you do it? I'm going to go ahead and just start all auto circuits, auto enter train, auto EB. And I'm just going to go ahead real quickly and switch these over real quickly. Even while they're just starting. And that should be my last one. And this ain't the normal amount of trains that I would normally run on, but it's what I've got hooked up. Okay, so come up here to the front, H for the lights, single, let's go to the rear. Okay, so the EOT train, the thing is here, and we see it's applied. Now, click here on the last car and click bleed air. You just blew all your air. Let's go shift B, left shift B, and you can see all the air is coming out the end. And everything is purple. So, let's pop into the rear. Into the head. Emergency brakes off. We notice we have 0 air pressure. Let me turn that down. We have 0 air pressure. You got a PCS open, and if you try to drive the train, it's not going to go anywhere. If you do manage to get it to move, you're really going to be good luck. See my front brake cylinder? Yeah, it's not going to let me go. Plus, I'm locked up. So your train has done a successful brake. Let's jump out for a second here. Click here. Your brake's at 90, so we're good here. Jump back in. Let's just go showing here. And we'll press the F7 key to release it. Now there's a way, and I don't remember exactly how, to get this to start building back up. If somebody remembers how to do that, please feel free to comment. The other way to do it is right here. Flip once, flip twice, and there we go. You see it changing down here, and there's the brake. Okay, so you just tripped your brake, so you have full brakes all the way through. If you want to check that, and you can't even try try to build your idle up. Brake cylinder is slowly building up. I'm just going to hit the F7 and let it reset. Now let's say, for example, one last thing. You jump in your train and hell, I want to shut it off for a minute. And let's say, there's actually a few other things I want to show you, but give that a minute. Let's come in, auto start, circuit breakers. This, we'll just go ahead and let it start. Notice I have 0 brake pressure, no air going in whatsoever. Okay, we'll let her start up. We'll jump up inside. Look at our gauges. And right now we still got nothing. I've actually seen this happen. What's going on? My train won't move. I got no air. I mean, your train will move, but I got no air. I got no brakes. I got no brakes. What's going on? Well, jump out. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. And jump out. Take a look at this right here. This should be 90 degrees. I mean 90 for freight. Set it to there. 120 for passengers. Jump back in. You'll see it building up. Now you can go with it in neutral. Notch 1. You can go notch 2 if you wanted to. And it helps to build the air pressure back up. Just a little bit faster. But you'll have to wait until that builds back up. Now you got your air brakes. And let's see here. I'm going to turn those back down. Okay, last thing I want to show you. You can run these in isolation mode, which means they're just going to, you're kind of provide a little bit of power, I guess, but they're not, the drive wheels are not going to be driving. So right now I got one on the front that's full and one on the rear that's in run. And you can just hit the brake, get it forward. Hopefully I don't break a coupler. I am playing in high C already. Jump up inside, take a look here. Everything looks good. Brakes look good. And let's jump out, turn that off. And it'll start going. Watch your coupler strength here. And it sounds like I just might have separated. Because it's trying to pull the whole train, it's taking a lot of power from the rear and from the front. But you'll see the tires are actually turning, they're not sliding. Okay. So if you have to haul some loco somewhere, and we'll just go ahead and reapply the train brakes here real quickly. You have to go somewhere and you're hauling locomotives. You can set it to isolate and they won't haul power. Another thing you can do, you're going somewhere, you need them to give you more horsepower, but you really don't need the dynamic braking aspect of it. Well, you can come in here and turn that to cut out. Cut out. Let's say throw these to cut out. Okay, so for them again, same thing as I did with the other. So I only have the front and the rear where the dynamics are cut in. This will severely hamper your braking ability as far as your dynamics go, but your air brakes will still work. You'll still have power to your locomotive, to your wheels. Let's release the brakes. It's here, left shift B. See it clearing. Let's go back to here. And go ahead and give her some power. And boom, see they take off real quick, a lot faster. But again, you don't have the dynamic braking power that you would need. Purposes for these. There's actual rules that you would want to do this. I suggest talking to an actual engineer, but I am assuming let me just delete that. I am assuming that the purpose for that would be like you're just hauling the locomotives from one spot to another, say, to get them repaired. And that's it. There may be some other reasons. Well, if you have problems with your train, you find yourself in those situations where your train's ripping itself apart, you have no air pressure, your train's not wanting to go nowhere, your train's working against each other, you're pressing forward but it's going in reverse, get in there and check those switches. Me, by default, I always, and I say always by default, drop a new one in here, I always go through all of these and turn them accordingly. Like this one would be the opposite way, reverse, and I'm always checking everything else. So my switches are on run, dynamics are normal, I got 90 psi, plenty of fuel, and change my headlights if I need to. Again, they don't work on all of them. I do know the SD70s and the 4400s they normally work on. I don't know why this one would not. Short hood trail. J. I don't know why it's not coming on. It used to work just fine. That's SD70. So I don't know. Let's delete it. But anyway, go through and check all of these. Make sure that they are oriented accordingly. Alright, hope that helps.